Everyone. So I'm just going to give everybody a minute or two just to filter on in. So exciting. We were so many of you registered for this class. So I think we were on 159 and I can still see registrations coming through. So I'm really, really excited to see how many we actually end up with. And yeah, clearly there are a lot of you out there who have made a New Year's resolution to actually use your Thermomix more. So before we start, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. So it is good if you are on mute. So if you are not on mute, when you talk, everybody can hear you. And sometimes you also pop up into the big box. So if I was you, I'd mute yourself. You can change your view from speaker view to gallery view. Speaker view means the person who is speaking is in the little box, and gallery view means everybody's in the box. So I'd go speaker view. I will try and pin the person or spotlight the person who is cooking as well so that you can see what's going on. There is a chat box down the bottom, and so this is not a cooking show. It is a little bit of an experience. It's interactive. And so we want you to ask questions, to comment, to share your recipes, share your tips, because the more you share, the more everybody will get out of this. So don't just sit there and look at us like stunned mullets. Get involved. We love questions. And one of us will be trying to watch the chat box at all time. So welcome to tonight's cooking class. We are going to be together for about an hour. And the theme of this class is to use your Thermomix more in 2024. It's a bit catchy. And when we met up to discuss this class, we talked about the fact that there were a lot of people who maybe had lost their mojo a little bit with their Thermomix. They just needed a bit of a kick in the pants to get out there and start using it again. And so we compiled a collection of some of our favorite recipes, but recipes that are just everyday recipes and, you know, you'll use and love, and they will actually inspire you to use your Thermomix more. So through the class, I'll ask you to add some of your recipes that you think are the standouts for your Thermomix and cooking. But yeah, we're going to get cracking. And what I'd love to know in the chat box, so we'll see if you all know where it is, because I've only had 2 lovely people actually say something in the chat box. So I want you to pop your name in the chat box, where in the country you are zooming in from, and tell me what your favorite thing is to cook in your Thermomix, if you have one. If you don't have a Thermomix yet, you are still in the right place, because tonight is going to be a really, really good opportunity for you to see what the Thermomix is all about, and you'll get to ask some questions and yeah, just see if this Thermomix thing is for you. So my name's Edith Smith. I am in East Auckland, and it is a beautiful day today, 30 degrees. And so I've got all the doors open, and I'm actually going to be making Brazilian limeade, and I'm quite happy about this because I'm going to drink it straight away. And this recipe, it is an American recipe, so it's Cookie Do USA. The cool thing about your Thermomix is you can cook recipes from all over the world, and I'll show you how to change your filters so that you can make that happen. But what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to pin myself on my other screen. And then I am going to go over there and I am going to start cooking. So while I'm doing that, you keep telling us what your favorite recipes are. And I will see you in about 5 seconds over in my kitchen.
There's lots of nice recipes coming through, and some that I haven't even made yet. Hi girls, hi Lola, hi Sarah Jane.
All right, can everybody hear me? Hopefully. Good. So I am going to be cooking the Brazilian limeade. As I said, this one is perfect for summer. It is actually a mocktail recipe, so that is how it is on Cookie Do. But I always add a sneaky bit of rum, and you can probably see the rum over there in the background. So I'm going to show you how to have it not only as a mocktail, but also as a cocktail. And so what I've done is I've actually saved this recipe to my weekly planner. And we'll probably get a chance a little bit later for me to show the ones of you who don't have Cookie Do yet what that weekly planner looks like. But there it is, Brazilian limeade. As I said, it is an American recipe. And because of that, our measurements are going to be in ounces. Now, don't panic. Your Thermomix is so clever that it is automatically going to weigh in ounces. And when the recipe's over, it'll just switch back to grams. So you don't need to do any converting. It's just going to do everything for you. If we scroll down, it'll give us a little lowdown on what the steps are, the ingredients, any tips and tricks or variations. And one of the variations is actually to freeze in popsicle molds for a refreshing summer treat, which is quite cool. I've never done that before. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start cooking, and we need 2 limes cut in half. And you're just going to put the entire lime in there with the skins and everything. You also need 3 ounces. So I know an ounce is about 30 grams, but the Thermomix is obviously weighing in ounces. So 30 grams or 3 ounces of sugar, or you can use monk fruit sweetener. So it's up to you if you want to make this a little bit more low carb or low sugar. And we're going to pop the measuring cup or the lid with the measuring cup onto the Thermomix. And we're going to go 10 seconds on speed 10. So this is just going to blitz the lime up completely with that sugar. And there's going to be a beautiful smell in my kitchen. Unfortunately, you won't smell it. But yeah, let's blitz. Right, so I'll show you what that looks like. So that lime, even though it had its peel on, it has completely obliterated. We're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. And now we're going to add 24 ounces of water. Go. And 16 ounces of coconut water. So for those of you who don't have a Thermomix, on the screen you might be able to see that a scale has come up and it is measuring the coconut water for me. So it's doing everything all in one. And we're also going to need 4 ounces of sweetened condensed milk. Now, I did actually make this in my Thermomix. So during lockdown, I ran out of condensed milk and didn't really feel like putting on a mask and going to the countdown. Found the recipe in Cookie-Doo and pretty much have never bought another can of condensed milk. You will not be able to tell the difference. And 1 batch of the condensed milk in Cookie-Doo is actually equivalent to 1 can of condensed milk. So it is perfect. Measuring cup and lid going back onto the Thermomix. And this time we're just going to go 20 seconds on speed 4. So I just had our glasses with some ice in the freezer because it was really hot today. So I'll show you what that looks like. Basically just blitzed everything together. And at this point, we're going to pop the simmering basket into the bowl. And if you just give it a tiny little twist to the side, it will actually lock it in place. You do still need to hold onto it with your hand when you pour, just in case, because you don't want the simmering basket to come out. And we'll pour this through the simmering basket into a big jug. So this is to strain out any of the little bits of lime. And then basically that is your Brazilian limeade. So if you're going to serve it to the kids, you're going to leave it just as is. If you are going to serve it to adults, I'm going to have one right now. You can pop a shot of rum, so white rum into it. I'm going to show you one of my other favorite tips. This was when we went camping. I realized this one. The measuring cup is called a measuring cup because halfway there's a 50 ml measure and full way there's a 100 ml measure. You can actually use the halfway point as kind of a jigger for measuring your alcohol. So I'm going to pop some rum up to the halfway point, and I'm going to pop that into a glass, and then I'll pour the limeade in there. And then I have a sneaky cocktail for my Wednesday night. Just pop that in there, and then fill it up with the limeade. There you go. So that's it. That's the Brazilian limeade. It is just one of the lemonade recipes on Cookie-Doo. So if you do a little search and you say lemonade, you'll actually find quite a few of them. And all of them can be turned into a cocktail, or you can leave them as a mocktail. But yeah, this one is really popular at our house, and I hope you guys are going to try it. So I will pop back on over to my other computer. While that's happening, I'm actually going to pass over to Brydy, because Brydy's going to be showing us our next recipe. So Brydy, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, and then you can tell everybody what you're cooking tonight.
Thanks, Odie. I feel like it's still January, so it's definitely still festive season. You can definitely have a midweek cocktail. School starts tomorrow, so reality will hit us. So hi everyone, I'm Brydy Morrison and I'm a team leader based here in beautiful Blenheim. I've got more of a virtual team here, sort of spreading far and wide across the country. Yeah, some beautiful, amazing humans. And today I'm making the chicken, spinach and leek risotto, which is just one example of hundreds of risottos on Cookie-Doo. And hopefully you can kind of see my screen here, but I have just added this risotto to my weekly planner. And sorry, little thing came up there. Love the weekly planner. It's harvest is looming here in Blenheim, so I just absolutely thrash the planner during harvest season, and I've got about 90 recipes in my easy harvest meal collection. So if you do want me to flick you that collection, then by all means flip me a message and I'll send it to you. So the recipes come up on the screen and I'm just going to hit start cooking. I do have everything weighed out. We are actually a dairy-free family, so I'm going to grate the parmesan just to show you, but I'm going to swap the bowls over. You'll see I actually do have a sneaky machine behind this one as well. Super blessed. Being a consultant is amazing. We're really lucky in that we earn free things along the way. So it's pretty handy to have two machines. So I've just popped 100 grams of parmesan in there. You'll see the size. Don't over prep it, like definitely let the Thermomix do the work, but make sure things are small enough that they can easily fit through the hole so you're not overworking the machine. So I'm just going to hit next. You won't hear this noise, so I'm just going to be muted for 10 seconds, but be right back. I'm going to stop it early. If you don't know, you're new to the Thermomix machine, you can easily hit the speed selector and it will automatically stop the machine. It's great if your kids are helping with the cooking and they've gone a little bit too far. But also you'll hear a shift in the noise with the parmesan. Like I could hear it go from chunky to quite fine. So yeah, you can see that really well. It's just like that really finely ground parmesan that you find in the supermarket, but it doesn't have any of the anti-caking agents and things like that that come along with it. And I also think it's a little bit cheaper. I don't actually know. I hardly ever buy cheese, if I'm honest. So I'm just going to swap the bowls over there. So that only took 4 seconds. I have had the odd customer purchase a Thermomix purely because they've been so wowed by grating cheese. So I know that's actually a real pain point for a lot of us in the kitchen, finding grating things, finding chopping things. If you've got toddlers at home and you want to hide lots of veggies in the bolognese or anything like that, it's a great option. And we often make meatballs and little meat patties for school lunches. Hot topic at the moment, doing the rounds with school lunch baking. So I often will grate up carrot and leftover veggies in the Thermomix, put the meat in, put it on reverse blade, so you've got a blunt blade option as well, and then it'll stir up my meat patties and you'll never know there are veggies in there. You also don't have to touch the meat, which really appeals to me. So it's just asking me to put the garlic in there. Cloves, and of course I put 5. And now it's just asking me for 150 grams of leek. It's a little bit over, but of course I'm going to use the whole thing. Just keep in mind, even though it's guided cooking, it's only a guide. So if you are a creative cook or you can definitely ad-lib as and when you want to. So now it's just asking me for some olive oil. This is quite handy because I know I'm a bit of a Jamie Oliver, glug, 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 glug. And this does keep me on track, which is great. 40 grams there. And to put the measuring cup in and chop this up for 5 seconds.
It is actually so cool having a look at the chat box and seeing what some of your favorite recipes are. And I'm actually going to save this chat box and send it out to some of my customers at the end, because there are some recipes here that I actually haven't tried yet. So it's a bit
really amazing recipes.
Amazing.
Yeah. So there we go. Oh, leek is just like onion. It's going to make me cry. Don't put your face over the bowl. There we go, 5 seconds. I don't know how on earth I would have done that by hand, but it definitely would not have taken me 5 seconds. And now it's asking me to put the simmering basket on top of the lid. So it just fits in there nicely. You don't really need to overthink any of this. The Thermomix will just come up with instructions. So crying here. I've got 2 lovely sons, they're 7 and 10, and they often just jump in and help with the cooking, and it's so amazing. It's really one of the things that I love about having the Thermomix in the kitchen. So I'm going to get this.
Bridie, that simmering basket, what's the rule with the simmering basket? Because mostly you've got the measuring cup on top, right? When do you use the simmering basket?
I'm really, really crying here. So funny. So when you go above 90 degrees, I think it is. But the Thermomix will tell you that, even when you're using it manually. So you've got your 3 circles here. If you're new to the Thermomix, you've got your time, your temperature, and the direction and the speed of the blade. But when you turn the dial to turn the temperature up, it will remind you to use the simmering basket instead of the measuring cup. So really, really easy.
Yeah, and usually there's that little picture as well, so you're never going to get it wrong because it's going to tell you exactly what to use. And yeah, it's a safety thing because some steam can get out, but obviously nothing can bubble out. So I'm going to quickly add Lonnie while your onions are going, Bridie. So Lonnie, I'll get you to introduce yourself as well, and just let everybody know what you're cooking today.
Awesome. Thanks, Odette. Welcome to my kitchen, everyone. I am here in sunny Nelson, even though I've got the curtains pulled so that you can see me in the Thermomix screen. It did feel a bit weird pulling those curtains so early in the evening. I can hear my kids still playing outside. So I'm the team leader here in Nelson. I look after a team of around 30 consultants now, and they are all a diverse group of women, and really lovely team. I can see a few of you on tonight, so thanks for jumping on. Thanks for your support. Hopefully you've all got some customers here too. Tonight I'm actually making a couple of dishes. I'm making mayonnaise first. We are a big Mayo family. where most families have tomato sauce, we will have mayo. We have no problem going through a jar of mayo a week. And so it's certainly a lot handier to be able to make that mayonnaise in the Thermomix, not to mention cheaper. I know that we were big Best Foods eaters back in the day, pre-Thermomix, and a jar of Best Foods now is $6.99. I mean, we use quite good quality ingredients, especially when you compare what we're going to make this mayo with. Versus what's inside Best Foods mayo. But yeah, so even with using good quality olive oil, you'll certainly save money. Can you all hear me? I just got a little notification that came up.
No, we sure can. It's worth mentioning as well that there are a few mayonnaise recipes in Cookie Dough, and we all kind of have our favorite. Lonnie's going to be making the basic mayonnaise today. I'm a bit of a cooked mayonnaise girl.
Oh, it's Friday.
Yeah, Bridie too. So you'll have to try both of them, and then you can see which one you prefer.
Between the two, I think the cooked is fantastic because it's pasteurized. So if you're pregnant and you're told you can't eat whole egg mayo anymore, then yeah, you'll be delighted to hear that you can now eat mayonnaise with the cooked version. Yeah, like I said, I go between the two. I really do like just quickly whizzing up the basic mayonnaise, and I'm going to show you actually how I turn it into a little bit of a garlic version. Who doesn't like a clove of garlic in their mayonnaise, right?
Definitely. So before you do that, Lonnie, I'm just going to draw attention to the fact that Bridie is popping something else in her bowl just before she keeps sauteing, because I don't want to hold her up. What are you going to put in there, Bridie?
Thank you. We were having a dinner table conversation with our kids the other day about polarizing foods, and we looked at the top 10 polarizing foods in the world, things that you would expect, like coriander and things like that. And number 1 was mayo. We were like, is this a thing? Surely not.
Wow.
Put it in the chat box. You're not a mayo fan, because I do not understand. So yeah, my leeks are beautifully sauteed. So I would have been standing there over a stove, gently stirring them the whole time. And now it's just asking me to pop the rice in. So arborio rice, one of the few recipes that it 100% does matter which rice you use. So definitely use arborio risotto rice. And it's asking me for 60 grams of white wine. Not a problem in this neck of the woods.
Is it Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, Bridie?
No. It's the Pinot Gris.
A little bit of residual sugar in here as well.
Just demote it. So here we go. So I'm just going to pop the lid on. It's nice and cool now, but you might have just noticed before that, and if you're new to the Thermomix, you'll see that spatula actually is a wee hook that hooks into the hole in the simmering basket, which is really handy when it gets hot inside. So if you were boiling rice or whatever, yeah, it's well designed to fit together. And that's me for another 3 minutes.
Yay. Oh, I think, are you talking, Odette?
I am. I popped the link in for Lonnie's mayo, and I'll pop the one for cooked mayo in as well. I reckon we need to have a mayo off, and people need to do both and tell us which one's better.
Oh, I should do a poll on my story after this. If any of you follow me on Instagram, come on over and I'll put a poll up soon, because it is pretty polarizing. Well, that's the only polarizing part of mayo, I think, actually. People love what they love. But yeah, feel free to adapt these tips and tricks for whichever mayo recipe. Not only are there lots of mayo recipes in the Thermomix, but there's also variations in terms of flavors as well. So you can make lemon caper mayo, you can do garlic aioli, you could do like a tartare sauce. There's a Big Mac sauce in there. Is it under Big Mac sauce? It is, isn't it? Yeah, so lots of yummy little, there's even Kewpie mayonnaise too, if you're Japanese fans.
There is an avocado mayonnaise as well, where you put an entire avo in, and that one is really, really delicious. So yeah.
I'm feeling like we should just do a full mayonnaise virtual one night. Who would come on? Right, I'm just going to show you how I make it garlic mayonnaise. So literally 1 clove of garlic. With garlic in recipes, I'm always like more is more, unless it's raw. So I will just put 1 clove in. That will be enough so that it's not too sharp and just beautiful flavour. You can't see my screen, but all I've got on there at the moment is the picture for the recipe, which Odette's posted anyway. And I'm actually just going to go into the home screen where you can see the 3 dials. The glare's a bit, no, it's not happening. But you've got the time, temperature, and speed dials. So I'm going to manually set that. Absolutely talk to your consultant if you want some help around manual cooking, but also in the back of your basic cookbook that comes with your Thermomix, there's actually a table in the back with all of the ways that you can chop things manually, and there's even a chapter on how to convert your own recipes into Thermomix recipes, or you can use the new chop mode. So you could go into the chop mode and type in garlic or onions or whatever and type in the weight, or select the weight, and it will do the chopping for you with preset functions. However, because I have had a Thermomix for about 3 years now, I kind of just know. You do know. In the beginning, it's kind of like crossing your arms the other way, and then it just becomes second nature. So I've put it on for 3 seconds, and I'm just turning it around to speed 7, or 7.5. Anyway, 7, 8 is going to chop that garlic clove in 3 seconds. And I'm not going to scrape down the bowl. I'm just going to make the mayo over top of that chopped up garlic clove now. I will show you what it did in 3 seconds. So you can imagine, just like Brydiejane showed us with the leeks, how easy it is to chop things now. Right, so I'm going to go back to my week and just bring up that mayo recipe. I don't like cleaning dishes that are all oily. So the recipe does say to start with a mixing jug on top of the lid and actually weigh the oil in. Because I know that we use roughly 250 grams of oil, I've got a 500 ml bottle of oil. So I just know that I'll need about half of that for our mayo dish. For our mayo. I'm using Borges light olive oil. I do tend to try and use extra light olive oil or extra light in taste olive oil. Put in the chat box if you've made the mistake of making mayo with extra virgin olive oil.
I've made the mistake of making it with normal olive oil, and it was so yuck. Like, I threw it away. It was not edible. So it needs to have very little taste, your oil.
I wish it was something that I could change in the world, seriously. So the next best option is an extra light olive oil, more so than seed oils and things like that. They tend to go rancid, and this one's quite nice, and there's a really nice flavor. So this is a Woolworths product, so you can get it at Woolworths or Fresh Choice stores. It's an Italian import, so sometimes it's not available, and if that's the case, the loopy extra light in taste is quite a good oil to use. So I'm just skipping the part where it says to put it in the jug and set that aside, because like I said, I'm just going to use half of it. And now I'm going to place an egg into the mixing bowl, a teaspoon of lemon juice or vinegar. I use apple cider vinegar, and I just use a capful or just slightly overflowing capful of vinegar. It says 1 to 2 teaspoons of mustard. My little trick with this is to actually use a teaspoon of Dijon and a teaspoon of whole grain. Whilst you can make your own whole grain mustard in the Thermomix, I just buy the Series Organics one. It's yummy. The flavor is so good. And I have noticed with different mayonnaises too that it is, different mustards. It's nicer tasting with the Series Organics. Okay, a couple of pinches of pepper and half a teaspoon of salt. So that's the cool thing about the Thermomix, is that you can choose the ingredients that you put in there. If you're not worried about oils, use sunflower oil. If you're not worried about salt, use white salt. Whatever works. You probably can save a little bit more money. Okay, so I'm inserting the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid, and then it's saying to turn the speed selector to speed 4. The time is preset on 1 minute 30. This is where I actually click on the time dial, and I take it up to 3 minutes to 4 minutes. So it's just landed on 3 minutes 40. I'm just going to leave it there. And then I'm going to turn it around to speed 4. And the reason why I've added a little bit of extra time is so that we can get it nice and thick. So there's 2 options. You can put the lid on and you can pour it into put the measuring cup on, pour it on the lid. And there's actually some gaps on the side of the measuring cup, which means that the oil will slowly trickle in and emulsify beautifully. And that is one cool thing about the Thermomix, is you can do emulsifications really, really nicely. Hollandaise sauce is one of those things that I haven't yet split owning a Thermomix, and yeah, super easy. I'm not actually putting it in with the measuring cup on. Like I said, I hate cleaning oily dishes, and when you get oil all over the top of your lid, it's not super fun. So because we're going to go back to Bridie, I think, or maybe to Jordan now, I'm just going to stand here and do this.
You are so brave. The cooked mayo does emulsify at quite a high speed, so you definitely get splatters here and there. So if you're doing that one and you're going anywhere near speed 5 or above, don't do what Lonnie does.
Also worth knowing that if you make mayonnaise and it splits, don't throw it away. You can always save it and bring it back. So if you drizzle the oil in too quickly and you don't give it time to emulsify, sometimes you lift the lid and it's just like a goopy mess. Do not throw it away. Take that goopiness and put it back into a little jug. Put another egg into your bowl and drizzle that goopy liquid back around the measuring cup slower this time, and it will emulsify. So never throw it away, because it's such a waste of egg and oil and expensive things. You can always bring it back, but it's just a really good reminder not to be too quick when you're pouring the oil in. Can you see Lonnie? She's like very, very patient there with her oil. So yeah.
You can tell I've got no kids around, eh? No, just getting this time.
I'm just going to pop my chicken in. So it's just asked me for 350 grams of chicken breast, just diced roughly. One of the other things that really does matter with Thermomix recipes is the cut of chicken. So if you're doing a curry and it says use chicken thighs, definitely use chicken thighs, unless you don't mind that lovely shredded chicken texture. But so with this risotto, it will kind of it'll stay in chunks, but it might be a little bit shreddy, which is really quite nice for a risotto. And now it is asking me for 600 grams of water. So I'm just going to pour that straight in. Haven't actually measured it out. And what I am going to do, I'm going to put a little bit more wine in, because I just quite like a very winey risotto. And top it up. This is probably one of the few things that I'm very obedient with, like the ratio of rice to liquid as well. I do a lot of ad-libbing with Thermomix recipes. I'm not very obedient, and I love cooking and different flavors and things, so I do sub things all the time, especially with allergies as well. But yeah, I try and stick to the ratio. So the next thing I'm putting in is just my homemade veggie stock paste. So most of this is from my mum's garden, some lovely fresh herbs and some leftover veggies. You can use any of the stock pastes, maybe not the meat stock, that would be a bit weird, but the chicken or the veggie. If you haven't made the chicken stock paste, it is a bit strange for the first time, because you do use real fresh chicken. But it is totally incredible. So definitely recommend that. And really important to note that when you make the stock paste, you don't need to fluff around putting it in little cubes in the freezer or anything like that. You just chuck it in a jar, and because of the salt content, it's easily scoopable straight out of the freezer, which is pretty amazing. So I've popped some salt and some white pepper in, and now I'm just popping it on to cook. And I think Lonnie's probably almost done.
I was going to start scraping it out, and then I thought I would bring it up here to show you. Look how nice and thick that is. And it hasn't even started really sliding down the bowl. So highly recommend increasing that cook time to 3 minutes to 4 minutes. So it gets it nice and thick. Of course, it will thicken up in the fridge as well, so don't freak out if it's not super thick. And that's especially something to keep in mind with the cooked mayo. That one can be slightly runnier, but then, yeah, thickens up. So I'll just show you a little tip. Some of you new owners that may not have seen this. We put the the Thermomix mixing bowl lid on top of the jar that we're putting it into and using it as a funnel. So I can pour that mayo into the jar. I have purposely used a smaller jar because for my next recipe, which I said I was cooking 2 things didn't get to telling you what I was making. We are going to use 140 grams of mayo. Normally, if I was just making mayo at home, it'd be a good sort of picked peanut butter sized jar of mayo. So the next recipe I'm making is the chicken, almond and cranberry salad. If any of you follow Laura on Low Carb Haven, what is she? Laura's Kitchen of Chaos. She is fantastic. She'll post a recipe of the chicken cranberry almond salad pretty much every week. It's her lunch go-to. So yeah, I wanted to make it tonight because I've only sort of recently found it, and it's something that I will definitely make when things get busy again, kids are back at school and we're prepping lunches and food for the week, because it's something you can just leave in a container. Actually, you could leave it in a VacuSeal container. It'll keep really well for the week, and you can spoon it onto sandwiches, or you could, yeah, I guess eat it. We had it in lettuce cups the other night. It was really quite nice. And you can mix up what you put in it as well. So obviously, like Brydy said, with guided cooking, it does tell you what to put in there. But if you wanted to mix it up, add some Greek yogurt instead of mayo, or if you wanted to add some avocado with it or something like that, then you absolutely could do that. So I'll get on to making it. I'm not going to wash the mayo bowl out because everything goes in there. The chicken, the cranberries, the almonds, celery if you're using it, and then a big dollop of mayo. So I'm going to get most of it out. But like a lot of recipes, you tend to have a little bit of stuff in the bowl and you want to use it all. So if you've made mayo and you don't want to go on to making this chicken salad, you could actually then go and build a coleslaw or something like that over top and use up all that mayo that's in the bowl. So I'm just going to go into my week and bring up the salad. Cranberry almond chicken salad it's called. Okay, so it's asking for 30 grams of slivered almonds. I always have to think about it before I say slivered. We should have bought a spot prize or something along for someone that could say it properly without thinking too much. Anyway, I'm popping that in there, and the Thermomix will toast those nuts for 6 minutes. I actually did that before we jumped on tonight because I knew that you were, you know, time is precious. We don't want to sit here watching that toast for 6 minutes. So I've done it, and I'm just going to skip those steps. It's now asking for 140 grams of mayonnaise. Back in there. I didn't measure it. We might need a little bit extra out of my little jar. 96 grams. A little bit more. So if you make this salad and you've got to make the mayo first, you know you're going to have a little bit of mayo left over, which is nice. Oh. 100 grams of apple. It says to use green. I'm not fussy. I've got red.
Where did you even find those apples? Because there is like a nationwide shortage of apples. I haven't been able to get any in weeks. Where did you find them? Yeah, there's no
apples mostly.
There's no apples. Maybe it's just bloody Auckland, eh?
Well, no, they harvest apples in February, Odette, so it's nearly apple harvest time. It will be just coming to the end of all the apples that have been sitting around in cool.
It's hard to make a coleslaw without an apple. I'll just have
it. That is weird. Yeah, my husband actually grows apples. So yeah, we have apples quite often at home, but that one actually was probably Pack and Save that I bought the other day for our cooking class. There was a little selection. Anyway, I put the apple in. I asked for 60 grams of red onion, which I realized I didn't have when I was cutting up the ingredients. So I'm skipping that, and I'm also skipping the celery, just personal preference. But you could add a whole heap of fresh herbs and things like that in there instead of the celery if you wanted. 100 grams of dried cranberries. 15 grams of lime juice. I mean, you could use lemon juice too. If you've got a tree, you don't want to go and pay the same price as Parmesan cheese for your citrus, then absolutely go and use lemons. And a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and 400 grams of chicken breast. So I steamed this in the Varoma before the class tonight. It has cooled down, which is quite handy. But yeah, for those of you that haven't used steam, and used your Varoma much, it is such a good way of cooking food. For example, with Brydiejane cooking her risotto right now, I always say never waste your steam. So while she told you all about putting the simmering basket on top, you actually could fit your Varoma on top at the same time. Generally, if something's cooking for 15 to 20 minutes, you're fine to steam some stuff on top and use that steam. So some extra green beans or some little carrot sticks. You could chop some chicken into pieces and add some extra protein with your risotto. There's a recipe in Cookie Dough, which is a demo dish. You might have seen it if you've had a demonstration with your consultant, and if you haven't tried it, then you should book in a demo with your consultant and try that curry. So it's a chicken curry, and it actually steams the cauliflower rice on top. So yeah, quite cool. So yeah, anyway, steamed this, and you can just use your Thermomix to steam regardless if you're cooking a recipe anyway. So I put in about 500 grams of water, put the Varoma on top, and with those 3 dials, how I talked about using them manually before, if you set the time to about 25 minutes, and then if you set the temperature, if you turn it right round past the highest temperature, which is 120, and then up to Varoma, which is the last setting, and Varoma is your steaming setting, and then just use your speed selector to put it on speed 2. That will steam probably 3 or 4 chicken breasts, however much you can really fit in that Varoma and still have steam circulating in there without blocking all of the holes. Obviously it'll steam faster if you cut it into smaller pieces first, but yeah, generally you can put in whole chicken breasts and steam them. So I've done that, but also this recipe is fantastic if you've got leftover roast chicken just from, you know, Sunday roast or whatever. And you can actually do your whole roast chicken in the Thermomix too. So when I jump off here, or if you want to, you could pop the whole roast chicken, whole steamed chicken in the recipe in the chat box. And also there is just a steamed chicken recipe too, where you can use that. So you don't have to remember all of those manual settings that I just told you about. Yeah, it's a good way if you want to get on top of food prep and things like that. And also with the whole steamed chicken, you won't go and pick up a bag from the supermarket again, because you can put it on in the Varoma. It's up to a size 16, I think. Sometimes with bigger chickens, you kind of have to cut the legs so it all fits in and the lid fits on. But you can put it on and walk away. You can go out and do the after school activities with the kids and things, and then come home and you've got a whole chicken that's steamed in the Varoma. And the cool thing is because you've put water in that mixing bowl, all the chicken juices have dripped down into that bowl while it's been steaming, and you get left with a whole jug of chicken stock at the end. So you can then go on to make a nice soup or something like that. Anyway, it's asking for fresh chives, which I forgot to grab out of the garden, so I'm just going to sprinkle them on top. And it says to insert the spatula through the hole in the mixing bowl lid and turn it while chopping. So that's just going to help move everything around the blades, make sure it chops up nice and evenly. So round to 4.5 for 8 seconds. I'll just move it around while it does its thing. Has anyone made this?
I'm going to make it because I've seen you make it so many times that it is absolutely going on my list for this week.
Oh, it's fantastic. And so it's all minced up. Look at that yummy mayo-y goodness. I'm going to have that in lettuce cups probably for dinner tonight, actually. And yeah, it will last in those VacuSeals for quite some time. Do you want me to show you the VacuSeal container?
We sure do, because the VacuSeal is the current gift with purchase. So sometimes, not always, but sometimes when you purchase a Thermomix, you get a little something extra. And at the moment, the little something extra that you get is the VacuSeal wand with some VacuSeal containers. And we love them, use them all the time. Lonnie will show you how they work. But they are also, there's a giant VacuSeal container that is available as a host reward at the moment. So some of you may have hopped on here with a couple of friends, and that means that you're going to be able to talk to your consultant after the Zoom, and you're going to be able to have special pricing on host rewards. And if one of your guests tonight makes the very wise decision to invest in a Thermomix, then your host reward might even be free. If you did hop on here with 2 friends, you need to let your consultant know. We cannot read your mind, and everything has to be set up before midnight tonight. So yeah, if you brought 2 friends, be sure to let your consultant know ASAP. Lonnie, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Somebody has asked me, you mentioned a person you follow, Laura somebody.
Oh yes, Laura's Corner of Chaos. She's quite low carb, so it's quite cool to follow along with her and what she does. I can pop that in the chat box in a moment. Do you want me to show you these containers now? I just had to run upstairs and get a brand new one. All of mine have got food in them.
We would love to see them.
Yay. So all different sizes, as Odette mentioned. This is kind of the medium size one. It's 650 mils. Oh no, it's small. This is the smallest one. The box is medium size that it comes in. But these are fantastic to put things like half an avocado in. You can take all the air out and that avocado is not going to oxidize and go brown. Good for berries too this time of year. If you've got beautiful punnet of strawberries or something like that and you just want half of it and you put the rest in here, you can suck all that air out and they're not going to spoil overnight like they would if you put them in the fridge just as they are. I also find it really good for marinating meat. I actually learnt this trick off another consultant recently when I put something up on my social media about how I was marinating meat. And she said, use your VacuSeal containers, suck the air out, and you just marinate that meat inside your VacuSeal container for 20 minutes, and it's the exact same as doing it overnight. So that's quite cool. Anyway, they've all got a lid. They've all got a wee, I don't know what you call it, little nozzle thing on top. You put your wand on top of that once you've sealed it down, and you just turn it on. I don't know if you can hear that humming, but
it sounds like a breast pump, actually.
It does. That sound is not foreign to me. But up here, you'll see that little white thing is now sucked in, which means there's no air in there. So you just keep going until it's sucked in, and then you can put your food in the fridge, and yeah, we'll keep it.
It also comes with some bags that you can suck the air out of. And it means that you can sous vide in your Thermomix as well. So it is a very, very cool gift with purchase. And is it till the 7th, Lonnie? I want to say it's till the 7th. Awesome. Right. I'm going to hand you over to Jordan. So this is Jordan's debut on a virtual cooking class. So we are very excited to have her. She was a bit of a last minute addition, but yeah, we are really looking forward to cooking with her. So Jordan, I'll get you to introduce yourself and then you can tell everybody what you're cooking.
Well, hi everyone, I'm JordanWhittaker, and yes, I'm very nervous, and now I'm even more nervous that you've told everyone that it's my first one. Thank you. I have owned a Thermomix for 7 years now, and I have recently come on as a consultant. So what I'm cooking is, we will go into the My Week, only the best chocolate chip cookies ever. I picked this off the meal plan. I haven't even made it before, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go in blind, having never practiced it, and apparently they are delicious, so let's see. I have already preheated my oven. I'm actually standing over it, like so boiling hot. The first step is the butter. I did cut some up, so we will pop that in. It says unsalted butter, but do people use unsalted butter? I don't know. Mine is always salted. Okay, I've gone a little bit over, but I figure that will be fine. We need 110 grams of white sugar. Honestly, not having scales in your kitchen is such a game changer. Only having a Thermomix is so good. So we will put in our 110. Right, next, honestly, this kind of recipe would be so good for your kids to help with, because it's all in the bowl, and by the looks of it, I did have a pre-read. It's not super difficult understanding wise. I've got a 8-year-old daughter who is super into cooking with the Thermomix, and so she will often try and get in and help me, and she can, once she learned to read through the instructions super well. So we need 110 grams of brown sugar. This giant container. I went a little bit over again, but I'm sure no one will mind some extra brown sugar. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I'll say these are gonna be
Definitely have a go, guys, at making your own vanilla paste in your Thermomix if you have not already. You do need vanilla beans, but it is completely different to that funny vanilla essence-y stuff that you can get at the supermarket.
I've been meaning to try that, so
Oh, good.
I have to take you up on that. Okay, so we are being told now to insert our lid with the measuring cup in, and it is going to cream for 1 minute on speed 3.
While Jordan does that, I just have one last step to go on my risotto. So I'm just going to take the lid off, and everything is cooked beautifully. If you've ever made risotto by hand, you'll know the pain that comes along with it. And it's just asking me to put in 100 grams of fresh spinach. So I'll just chuck that in. And then by the time I've done that, Jordan's probably ready for her next step. That's a lot of spinach. I put the whole bag in. There we go. And it is asking me to put the cheese back in, but I am going to skip that so that my family can actually eat it. And then I'm just going to gently stir that through, and it will be ready.
What I sometimes do, Bridie, is I'll actually put the spinach and the cheese in the bottom of the thermoserver and then pour the risotto in over the top and then just close the lid, and that kind of steams the spinach as you go, and it means you can just kind of stir it up. If you don't have a thermoserver, it is a host reward. You definitely need one. Keeps food hot for just over, I don't know, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Sometimes I'll leave mine in there, and it also keeps food cold. So yeah, just one of the cool host rewards that we have.
I just wanted to quickly say, when it's running, there's a button and it comes up and it says preview, which is always super handy if you want to see what the next step is while it's going. So our next step is, I'll show you what the cream looks like. It looks so good. So that's our butter and sugar all creamed up in there. So we need to add 1 egg. And insert the lid again. And we are going for 30 seconds on speed 3.
That risotto looks good, Bridie. Risotto is one of those things that I just never made before I had a Thermomix, because I'm not stirring anything for 20 minutes. I just don't have that sort of time to put into a dish. So yeah, it was something we only ordered in restaurants, and now it's something I make midweek when I have no time. Those of you who are making risotto, in the chat box, pop your favorite risotto, because there are so many on Cookie-Doo.
All right. We are up to the flour. It says self-raising flour. I actually only had plain, so I just quickly looked up in Cookie-Doo the self-raising flour recipe for the right ratios of how much baking powder to use. So I've already done that. So we should have the right amount, though I seem to be going over in pretty much everything else that I add. So 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 sec.
So Claire says pumpkin bacon. That's my favorite risotto as well. I love the pumpkin bacon.
Yeah. And put it back on again. And then it's changed over to the dough setting. So this is going to need for 30 seconds.
The rule with your Thermomix when you are using it in dough setting is you cannot leave it unattended. So you can leave it when it's cooking and you can leave it when it's chopping, but you cannot leave it when it's kneading, because sometimes, especially if it's a very sticky dough, like a brioche or a hot cross bun, it will move around and you don't want it to move right off your bench. You can get a glider board from the mix shop, and that actually has these little holes for the feet, and it kind of stabilizes your Thermomix, so that is better and it won't move around as much. But I would still stand next to it because, yeah, you don't want your Thermomix to end up on the floor.
That would not be ideal. Okay, that was cranked out so fast. I don't even know what time I started, but we are at the chocolate chips. It says 150, but a whole bag is 200. I'm like, should I just add it all? No, you know what? My kids will like to eat the leftovers, so I'll leave it for them. So this says combine it well with a spatula. If you were to combine it in the Thermomix, you might risk chopping up some of the chocolate chips. So I'm going to combine this with the spatula, and then I'm going to start rolling them out. You guys aren't going to be able to see these cooked up, but somebody's going to post a photo of some cooked up. Is that right?
That is correct. I think, Lonnie, were you going to show us some already baked ones, or did you eat them while we were cooking? You can be honest with us. If you ate them, we won't judge you. Like, that's okay. I'd eat them too. She says as she sips her Brazilian limeade.
Surprised if I'd eaten them all, but there are a couple left in the cookie jar. We're calling these our 4 batches a week cookies at the moment. This is my daughter that's trying to hide from the camera. You can come on, Maggie. She's coming to show you the cookies. They're cookies. They taste fantastic.
Yeah, they actually come from a collection which is called the Best of the Recipe Community. So Cookie-Doo is our online recipe platform. It's like Netflix for recipes. So we have 90,000 recipes from all over the world, and they are all available to you for guided cooking on the screen of your Thermomix. There is another website called recipecommunity.com.au, and rather than those being recipes that are released by Thermomix, by our recipe development kitchen, they are actually owners and, who have created their own recipes, and they've uploaded them to the recipe community. There are some incredible recipes on the recipe community, and they've chosen some of them and collected them into a Cookie-Doo collection. And there are some that are not so incredible. So if you're going to cook off of the recipe community, I would recommend you always look at the ratings and you look at the comments down the bottom as well, because you will very quickly work out whether it's good or not. But yeah, there are some incredible recipes there. I'll share my screen and I'll show you what we're talking about. So when you look at collections, and collections are little cookbooks within your Cookie-Doo, there is the Best of the Recipe Community, and there are 10 recipes. This banana cake is amazing. You've probably seen it all over socials. Everybody's making it. But yeah, some really good recipes on here. If there's a recipe on the recipe community that hasn't been uploaded to this collection and you want to be able to cook it using Cookie-Doo, you can actually import it and create your own recipe from that imported recipe. If you don't know how to do that, then reach out to your consultant, because they would be only too happy to show you how to do that. So Cookie-Doo, we know it, we love it. One of the things that I always tell my new owners is that you want to set up the filters on your Cookie-Doo, because when you search in Cookie-Doo, when you first set up your Thermomix, this filter is set to Australia, because that's where we are, Australia and New Zealand. And if you go into your filters, you can actually change that from Australia, because you see, if I tick Australia, I only have 3,573 results. But if I untick that and I just have English, that increases to 11,461. So what you want to do initially with your Cookie-Doo when you're setting it up is you want to update your default filter. You can choose your cooking style. This is going to determine what sort of recipes Cookie-Doo recommends for you. You can click which accessories you have. And then down here, you need to update your filter. And instead of having a country, you need to have a language. If you speak another language, you can put in another language other than English. But you can also use Google Translate on your computer, so that you don't just have access to 11,641 recipes, you have access to all 90,000. If you are ever searching for a recipe and you are unable to find it, it's got something to do with your filters. So go into your filters, and just have a little bit of a play around. But cookie dough is incredible. It is something that, you know, the more you use it, the more you'll love it. So definitely, if you need some coaching with cookie dough, reach out to your consultant. We'd love to do a cookie dough session with you. And yeah, we are always very happy to share our knowledge around cookie dough, because I don't know about you guys, but I spend way too much time on cookie dough, way too much time. Anybody else, what I'll get you to do, because sometimes we learn from our owners. And so what I would love to know is what little tip or trick do you have to share about cookie dough? So I might ask the girls, actually, while you guys are popping your tips in the chat box. Bridie, what's your favorite tip or trick about cookie dough?
Just something that pops from, I mean, there's so many, and you can, easily share collections between friends as well. Probably when you find a recipe that you love, you can easily scroll down to the bottom and see which collection it came from. So like at the moment, if you were looking for lunchbox fillers and you found scrolls or cookies or whatever, I mean, we love the paleo chocolate chip cookies. Odette's going to show you on the screen. You are amazing, Odette. If you click on any one of those recipes and scroll down, you'll see which collection it came from, and then that'll kind of organize the recipes in a really cohesive way. Sometimes I find there are so many recipes it can be a little bit overwhelming, so I quite like to just look at one collection. It's like a recipe book, and you can save that whole collection to your machine, and I just find that a little bit easier.
And the way you do that is, let's say you decide, hey, I love this whole cookbook or collection, Vegetarian Kitchen. If you just click save, that entire cookbook downloads to your Thermomix, and you can access that even when you are not connected to the internet. So I just took my Thermomix camping, didn't have Wi-Fi. I can still see that whole cookbook because it has been downloaded to my machine. That's a great tip, Bridie. What about you, Lonnie? Favorite cookie dough tip?
Oh, I have so many running through my head right now. But one that I do always show my customers when they're seeing cookie dough for the first time is that you can actually search by ingredient, but you can also search by excluded ingredient. So say you don't want tomatoes, no one in your family eats them, you could actually use the filters to put in that you don't want tomatoes in there. Or I've just seen Odette has written negative tomatoes.
Oh, does that work? Hang on a second. We see.
I've never done it like that. So I was like, wow, if that works, I'm going to be wrapped. I'll do that from now on. So if you go into the filters.
Go into the filters. Let me just move you out.
These ingredients. So that is the other cool thing. If you've got a glass of beetroot in your garden or whatever, you can type beetroot in ingredients. Will come up with all the recipes with beetroot in it. If you've got beef mince in your fridge and you just want to see what you can make with that for dinner, type beef mince in. If you're in the supermarket and you see an ingredient that's on special or a cut of meat that's on sale or something, you can actually plan your week, save a bit of money by planning with things that way, by searching up recipes. But yeah, the excluded ingredients was something that I thought was quite handy, especially if you've got dietaries or picky eaters that don't necessarily eat certain things.
Very good. I love that one, Lonnie. What about you, Jordan? Favorite cookie dough tip?
I didn't know about the excluded ingredient one. That's a good one. I can't really think of a specific cookie dough tip, but I just thought I would share something that my friend and I did was to inspire us to make more recipes of cookie dough. Was we did a little challenge where we picked each other a recipe of cookie dough each week that the other person had to make. And so it also meant that if we had recipes that we wanted to know whether they were yum, the other person could make it and we didn't have to be the tester, and they could tell us whether it was good. So me and my friend did that for a little while, and we would just send each other the recipe each week. And it was just cool, inspiring, and also kind of got you out of your comfort zone of your normal things that you would pick, because we are very different families. My friend's got 5 kids, I've got 3, and so the kind of recipes that she picked for me were quite different to what I usually make. So it was really cool. So if you have a friend that's got a Thermomix, you could do like a wee cookie dough challenge like that and get inspired.
That's fun. So some of the tips that people have put into the chat box, Susan says, when you search for recipes, less in the description is more. Definitely. The more you filter it down, the harder it is to find things. You can use the filter to include or exclude. Yep, that's a great one. What else? Yeah, such great. Yeah, cookie dough is just one of those things. You definitely can create your own little collections. So these are little cookbooks, and I actually created a collection for the Use My Thermomix More. I think it was Lonnie's, and I just saved it to my cookie dough. You can create your own recipes. So as I said, you can bring recipes in from the recipe community, but if you have a family recipe, you can also pop it into cookie dough. And I have got some over here, and you can also, here we go, these are entire cookbooks that I've saved. Some of the other cool things you can do with cookie dough, you can do meal planning, you can make shopping lists, you can order your shopping list from the Countdown or the Woolworths. So much, like too much to tell you today. I feel like cookie dough is just one of those things that could have its own class. But yeah, so there you have it, guys. We have made 5 things. They're not super complicated things, I don't think. We didn't want to overwhelm you. We just wanted to inspire you, give you a bit of a kick in the pants. Hopefully you're going to try some of these recipes, and hopefully it will inspire you to just get back into the Thermomix saddle. Your consultant is there to support you. So definitely, if you need a kick in the pants, reach out and say, hey, can you set me some challenges, or can you come cook with me, or whatever you need. We are always here to help, and we are always looking for more consultants. So if you've been watching the awesome foursome of us and going, oh, I'd like to be on that virtual next time, then definitely reach out to your consultant or to their team leader and have a conversation, because yeah, it's never been a better time to come on board. We will upload this recording probably to YouTube, or we'll have the link to send out. So if you did have somebody who missed the class and wants to watch it after the fact, then we'll be able to send you that recording. But thank you for hopping on with us. Thank you, ladies. Is there anything else that I missed that we need to tell them before they go?
Shall we hold up our recipes?
We should. Let's do it.
And I felt it looked like a really nice, are they in the oven? It looked like a really nice consistency though. Were they like perfect?
They're in the oven, sorry, so I can't like show you, but they were so easy to roll out. I am stoked already. They're not even cooked, haven't even tasted them, but
The dough is so good too.
so nice.
Just put them in the fridge raw. So yum.
We will also take some photos and we'll pop them up on our socials. So if you don't follow us, definitely give us a follow. But yeah, it's been lovely having you cook with us tonight, and we hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we will see all of you again soon. I feel like I'm glad I didn't drink all of this, because that would be embarrassing if I didn't have it.
Perfect.
There we go. Right, we'll see you again, guys. Enjoy your evening. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Jordan, don't leave. I know you, because you haven't done it before. I'm like, don't.
I feel like we'll stay on and get a cheesy photo.
I'm still in my kitchen, don't worry.
Okay. So we'll just.
Our dishes look the same when we hold them up, Brydy.
Do you want to start the recording? Thank you so much, everyone.